in the budget being submitted, and because the gentleman wasn't here when I showed this, I want to show the gentleman, as he knows, what $3.1 trillion looks like. This is what it looks like. This is what the President dropped on your desk and mine on Monday. This is the budget that we're talking about. So for our colleagues who are joining us late, this is the budget that we're discussing tonight. And the assumption that was made in putting this budget together by the administration, by President Bush, was that Congress would act on the alternative minimum tax. And of course we will. We are not going to allow that to lapse, which would result in an increase for 23 million people in the country, a tax increase, 70,000 in my district. I think the gentleman said 80,000 additional in his district. So, of course, we're going to deal with the AMT. It's tough. It's a difficult way to have to do policy, to do it year to year. It's probably not the best way. We made a tough decision in December. We'll make another tough decision at the end of this year. And the President knows that we have to do it, and we're going to have to pay for it, because that's what we have to do. It's not included in the cost of this $3.1 trillion budget. And I know we're running short on time, so I did want to just summarize a few of the other programs, saving one in particular for the end that's near and dear to my heart, that are cut in this budget. Because again, people say, what are we talking about when you talk about all these cuts? And we talked earlier about the subprime mortgage funding and so forth. How about highway funding? Is there anyone in the country that can disagree that we have a national crisis with infrastructure? We had the unfortunate situation last fall with the bridge collapse in Minnesota, which highlighted a problem that many knew, but really in a very tragic way shined the spotlight on the incredible need that exists in this country for infrastructure improvement, for bridge repair, for highway repair. We simply do not have anywhere close to the amount of money necessary to fix the roads and bridges that need fixed right now, let alone all the new construction that needs to take place. The district that I represent, we're talking about funding for bridges and roads and locks and dams along the riverways. Well, with highway funding in particular, the President's budget unbelievably proposes to cut funding for highways by $800 million below the amount guaranteed by the previous transportation reauthorization bill that we did several years ago. Every $1 billion in new infrastructure investment creates 47,500 jobs in this country. And a shortfall in highway revenue is projected in fiscal year 2009, which is what this budget covers. So we have a projected shortfall, yet the President still recommends an $800 million cut. And at a time when we lost jobs in January, who knows how many jobs we're going to lose in the months ahead as we face what may turn out to be a recession. We're talking about a program that can create nearly 50,000 jobs for every $1 billion in new investment, and we're going to cut $800 million. It makes no sense. Homeland Security, the gentleman from Connecticut talked about the importance of Homeland Security, which nobody can dispute, perhaps the #1 issue facing the country today. Well, so what does the President's budget do? The calculation of his budget excludes $2.7 billion in border emergency funding for Congress, which was approved in fiscal year 2008. And when this is taken into account, the President is only proposing to increase less than $100 million for fiscal year 2009 for Homeland Security needs for the entire agency. In addition, the budget slashes funding for state Homeland Security grant programs, first responders, police, firefighters, EMTs, people right out there on the front lines in our communities, many of them volunteers. This President's budget cuts $750 million, 79% below the current year's funding level for firefighter grants, $450 million, 60% below, just for firefighter grants, 79% below for all first responders. It's incredible that this is the budget that was put before us. Who could possibly argue that that's a good policy decision to cut funding for first responders by 79%?
I want to, this is all sort of hard to take in, you know, as you said that a massive budget document gets dropped on us, and the parade of horrors is endless in terms of all of the common sense programs, whether it's Homeland Security, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's healthcare, whether it's healthcare research spending. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, it's just hard to handle. Like it gets your it gets your